Throughout history, the United States has celebrated religious freedom and intellectual curiosity. Among its many leaders, some US presidents have shown a profound interest in Islam, not merely as a religion of others, but as a source of wisdom, culture, and moral guidance. Though none of these presidents formally embraced the Islamic faith, their documented interest and appreciation for its teachings reveal the universal appeal of Islamic values such as justice, compassion, and learning. This video will explore 4 US presidents who studied Islam and were positively influenced by its teachings, either through direct engagement with Islamic texts or through their respect for Muslim civilization. Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and principal author of the Declaration of Independence, is perhaps the most well-known early American leader to have studied Islam directly. Jefferson owned a personal copy of the Quran, translated into English by George Sale in 1734, which he purchased in 1765 while he was a law student. Jefferson's engagement with Islam was not superficial. He studied the Quran seriously as part of his broader intellectual exploration of world religions. His copy of the Quran was used as a reference during the drafting of early American legal documents, as he believed in understanding all legal and ethical systems to create a just government. Jefferson's study of Islamic law and values influenced his commitment to religious freedom and tolerance. He argued that Muslims, referred to then as Mohammedans, should be granted the same religious rights as Christians and Jews under the law. In his notes on the state of Virginia, Jefferson made clear his belief in religious inclusivity. "It does me no injury for my neighbor to say there are 20 gods or no God. It neither picks my pocket nor breaks my leg." This ethos of pluralism was extended to Muslims and can be seen in his advocacy for their inclusion in the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, which later inspired the First Amendment of the US Constitution. Thomas Jefferson's intellectual curiosity was unmatched among the Founding Fathers. His personal library contained one of the most diverse collections of religious texts of the time, including his famous 2-volume Quran translation by George Sale. Jefferson purchased this Quran not as a curiosity, but as a serious source of legal and ethical knowledge. He was fascinated by how Islamic law, Sharia, governed various aspects of society, from commerce and justice to personal conduct. In studying Islam alongside Roman law, Jewish law, and English common law, Jefferson sought to craft a uniquely American legal framework that protected individual rights and religious freedoms. His understanding of Islam went beyond the legal realm. Jefferson was deeply impressed by the moral values Islam promoted: charity, justice, and the responsibility of leaders toward their people. These principles found echoes in Jefferson's political philosophy. For instance, his concept of servant leadership and the idea that government exists to serve and not to rule the people align with Islamic principles of governance as emphasized in the Prophet Muhammad's teachings. Moreover, Jefferson defended the inclusion of Muslims as rightful citizens of the United States. In a letter to Dr. Benjamin Rush, he expressed hope for a nation where the Jew, the Gentile, the Christian, and the Mahometan Muslim could live together in peace. This commitment was later reflected in the Treaty of Tripoli, 1797, which Jefferson supported and which stated, "The government of the United States is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion," affirming the secular, inclusive vision he helped craft. Jefferson's serious engagement with Islam and his advocacy for Muslims' rights make him a uniquely forward-thinking leader whose worldview was enriched by Islamic teachings. John Adams, the second President of the United States, shared Jefferson's intellectual curiosity and also expressed admiration for Islam's moral teachings. Adams was a highly educated man with a broad interest in history, religion, and philosophy. In his writings, Adams acknowledged the profound influence of Prophet Muhammad on world history, particularly as a moral leader and reformer. In a letter written to Thomas Jefferson in 1816, Adams referred to the Prophet Muhammad as one of those who have done great service to mankind. He also recognized the value of the Islamic civilization during the Golden Age, when Muslim scholars preserved and enhanced knowledge from ancient civilizations, which later influenced the European Enlightenment. Adams admired the Prophet's ability to bring together a fragmented society and instill a strong sense of justice and ethical responsibility. Although Adams never formally studied the Quran as Jefferson did, his correspondence and writings demonstrate an awareness of Islamic teachings and a willingness to appreciate their impact on human civilization. John Adams, one of the most principled and philosophically minded of America's founding fathers, held a profound respect for moral leadership throughout history, including that of the Prophet Muhammad. While he did not formally study the Quran as Jefferson did, Adams's writings indicate that he was aware of the ethical systems that guided Islamic civilization, especially during its golden age. His appreciation for Muhammad was not based on religious agreement, but on the recognition of the Prophet's transformative influence on society. In Adams' view, Muhammad succeeded in bringing law, order, and ethical reform to a fractured and often violent region, an achievement Adams saw as historically significant. In his discourses on Davila, Adams expressed concern over the moral decay of societies when leadership failed to uphold justice and virtue. This belief found a parallel in his understanding of Muhammad's mission. Adams admired how Islam integrated spiritual guidance with civic responsibility, something he sought to emulate in his vision of an American republic governed by moral laws. He also recognized that the Islamic world had preserved and advanced scientific and philosophical knowledge during Europe's Dark Ages, keeping alive the works of Aristotle, Plato, and Hippocrates. This intellectual debt, Adams believed, was owed to Muslim scholars who valued reason and education, principles Adams championed throughout his life. In personal letters, Adams called Muhammad a sober inquirer after truth and saw Islam as a religion of order and ethical direction. His political philosophy, which emphasized justice, virtue, and the rule of law, resonates with Islamic teachings. Adams' openness to Islamic moral thought speaks to his broader commitment to wisdom, regardless of origin, and reflects the Enlightenment ideal of universal truths binding all humanity. Dwight D. Eisenhower, the 34th President of the United States, served during a critical period in world history, marked by the Cold War and decolonization. Eisenhower saw religious understanding as vital to world peace and was one of the first U.S. presidents to formally acknowledge the contributions of Islam and Muslims to global civilization. In 1957, during the opening ceremony of the Islamic Center of Washington, D.C., President Eisenhower delivered a historic speech emphasizing the importance of religious diversity and mutual respect. He said, "I should like to assure you, my Islamic friends, that under the American Constitution and in American hearts, this center, this place of worship, is just as welcome as could be a church or a synagogue." Eisenhower's words were not mere political pleasantries. They reflected a sincere admiration for the spiritual and intellectual heritage of Islam. He believed that Islam, like Christianity and Judaism, promoted universal values of compassion, dignity, and peace. His support for the Islamic Center was symbolic of a broader commitment to religious pluralism and international cooperation. Moreover, Eisenhower was known to have studied briefings that included cultural and religious insights about the Muslim world, especially during his foreign policy dealings with the Middle East. His approach helped set the tone for respectful engagement with the Muslim world during a time of global upheaval. Barack Obama, the 44th President of the United States, had a unique and personal exposure to Islam. Born to a Kenyan father who came from a Muslim background and raised for several years in Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim majority country, Obama developed a deep respect for Islamic culture and teachings. In his historic 2009 speech at Cairo University, titled A New Beginning, President Obama articulated a vision of mutual respect between the West and the Islamic world. He acknowledged the profound contributions of Islamic civilization to science, mathematics, medicine, architecture, and philosophy, stating, "I know civilization's debt to Islam. It was Islam, at places like Al-Azhar, that carried the light of learning through so many centuries, paving the way for Europe's Renaissance and Enlightenment." Obama's engagement with Islam was not limited to rhetoric. He regularly quoted from the Quran in speeches, including Surah Al-Ma'idah 5:32, which emphasizes the sanctity of human life. If anyone kills a person, it is as if he has killed all mankind. His use of Islamic references was both a nod to his personal experiences and a diplomatic bridge to Muslim communities around the world. Obama also celebrated Ramadan annually at the White House, hosted Eid dinners, and made significant efforts to improve America's relations with the Muslim world. He viewed Islam as a religion of peace and worked to counter Islamophobic narratives, emphasizing that extremists do not represent the vast majority of Muslims. The study of Islam by US presidents is a testament to the universality of its teachings and the capacity for interfaith respect in leadership. From the Enlightenment values admired by Jefferson and Adams to the moral clarity of Lincoln, the interfaith diplomacy of Eisenhower, and the personal engagement of Obama, Islam has played a quiet yet meaningful role in shaping the ethical perspectives of several American presidents. In a time when misunderstandings about Islam persist, reflecting on the positive influence it had on some of the most respected leaders in US history is both timely and necessary. Their openness to learn from Islam and respect its values serves as a powerful reminder that wisdom knows no borders, and that the moral truths found in Islam can inspire people of all backgrounds, including those at the highest levels of power. If you enjoyed this video, you'll love what's next. We have made several videos on this topic. Click the playlist on your screen to dive into more content. May Allah bless you.